Welcome. My name is Terry Moss, and today we're going to discuss rural board development and the challenges associated with developing a board that will last and help cultivate your organization to a successful yield. Thomas Jefferson said, "Cultivators are the most valuable citizens. They are tied to their country and wedded to its liberty and interests by the most lasting bonds." Our nations and rural regions unquestionably provide and support our urban centers. However, there are difficulties in meeting the needs of our rural areas from a leadership and board perspective because of the smaller pool of qualified and willing individuals to serve in these positions. The nonprofit sector tends to meet these needs better in urban areas, yet this sector is 3 times smaller in the rural U.S. than in urban areas. For these rural regions to compete and succeed, they need assurance that the nonprofit board is prepared in skill, direction, and foresight. Development of a high-functioning rural board requires strategic planning to assemble, employ, and plan for succession. Consideration for development of a rural board includes defining the type of board being assembled. Is this board elected, appointed, or hand-picked? Understanding why the board exists and what authority the board and its members will be given. The organization needs to understand how it will assess the board's effectiveness. Interviewing processes to find board members that will hold your company to high standards, follow the values of your organization, and set a clear direction for your organization. Once the board is assembled, they will need ongoing board education so they can lead and challenge the organization and ask the hard questions. The difficulties in a rural community are being able to find or cultivate a person that will understand the technicalities of the rural industry they are advising. With that being said, replacing or finding a new board member can take a lot of time. Memorial Hospital of Converse County former board chair Bob Kaiser said, "It can often take years to get the right board member up to speed on the industry, the organization, and the history of how things have developed. Once you have a good board member, you have to cultivate them just as you would any member of your team. Turnover is hard and expensive for all organizations, and this is true at the board level. The difference between urban and rural communities is in the urban setting, you typically have a larger group to pick from to find the new or replacement board member. Many times, nonprofits will develop a foundation board to start to cultivate these people in rural communities." Bob said he prefers appointed boards over elected or hand-picked boards in rural communities, as you can control the intention of why the person wants to serve the organization. Elected boards in rural communities typically do not have the time needed to allow for success. Mr. Kaiser's experience aligns with Alexander's and Lee's findings that corporate governance models are more likely to be efficient than that of philanthropic-style boards for nonprofit hospitals. In the book, Good to Great, it discusses finding the right seat on the bus for each person within your organization. This holds true for rural boards. It is key to find the right people that will take your organization from good to great. In an urban setting, you can typically find multiple experts in the field of your organization. In a rural setting, you typically cannot, so you have to find individual strengths within the people wanting to be part of the board. If your organization is using technology, you would find a person that has a strong technology background in the area you are working in, or having a financial background to understand the financials of your organization. We need to understand the reason people want to serve on the board. The 2 most important reasons for volunteering for a board was the opportunity to work for a good cause and respond to community need. The pressure for being on a board in a rural area can come from the community members, business members, or from the person's personal agenda. An example of this is a past employee that had been fired from an organization and is now working for a competing organization in the same rural community. He applies to be on the board of the organization he was let go from. What are his objectives and the reasons for wanting to be on the board? Is there a conflict of interest? These are questions that need to be asked to everyone that wants to be a part of the board. It is just as important for the organization in a rural area to clearly define what they are looking for in a board and in a board member, as it is for the board to understand their role in the leadership of the organization. Boards need to be cultivated in the same way that a shepherd cares for their flock, as discussed in 1 Peter 5. To the elders, shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in charge, but being examples to the flock. 1 Peter 5, 2-4. A great board, when cultivated well, gives your organization hope and direction to reap a great harvest.